Brian Pillman was a groundbreaking professional wrestler, known for his unpredictable in-ring style and charismatic personality. Starting his career in the late 1980s, Pillman quickly made a name for himself with a unique blend of technical skill and high-flying maneuvers that set him apart in promotions like Stampede Wrestling and WCW. His agility and intense athleticism earned him the nickname Flyin' Brian, and he formed a popular tag team with stunning Steve Austin called the Hollywood Blondes, which helped him rise to greater prominence. But Pillman was more than just a physical talent. His charisma and willingness to push boundaries made him one of the most captivating figures in wrestling. Pillman's career took a dramatic turn when he created the loose cannon persona, a character that blurred the lines between reality and storyline in unprecedented ways. His unpredictable behavior, both on screen and behind the scenes, kept fans and fellow wrestlers on edge, making him one of the most talked about figures in the business. This innovative approach eventually led him to WWE, where he continued to push the envelope before his tragic passing in 1997, though his career was cut short. Brian Pillman left an indelible mark on professional wrestling, paving the way for future generations of performers who would embrace edgier, reality-based characters. Hi there and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe to join us as we post exciting new content every week. Also, turn on notifications so you never miss out on anything, and let's dive right into it. As a child growing up, it was pretty tough for Pillman. Due to the development of multiple throat polyps, he would have to undergo a huge amount of operations. He had around 36 operations in total, many of which happened before the age of 3. Because of this medical issues, Pillman spent a large part of his early childhood in a hospital, only going home for Christmas. Because of this, Pillman's mother chose to send him to a public school so that he could spend more time with his friends. He was often made fun of by other children because of his raspy voice, which had been damaged by the many operations. This, according to his mother, prompted him to learn how to box. Pillman graduated from Norwood High School in Norwood. While attending Miami University in Oxford, Pillman played football for Redskins as a defensive tackle, where he set the record in the tackles for loss category. Pillman had difficulty with the education side and needed help with school to continue to play. He was a Division I second-team All-American in his junior year and a Division I All-American in his senior year. He went undrafted in the 1984 NFL Draft. As a free agent, he joined his hometown Cincinnati and later the Calgary Stampeders in the Canadian Football League in 1986. He would also play for the Buffalo Bills for the preseason in 1985, but he was the last player cut before the start of that season. Following the end of his football career, Pillman stayed in Canada and began wrestling training in the Hart Dungeon and debuted in November 1986 in Hart's Calgary-based Stampede Wrestling promotion. Pillman would tag with Hart's son Bruce, known as Bad Company. In April 1987, Bad Company would win the Stampede International Tag Team Championship, defeating Ronstar and the Cuban Assassin in the finals of a tournament. Their reign lasted until October 1987, when the titles were held up after a controversial finish to a match between Bad Company and Jerry Morrow and Makan Singh. Bad Company defeated Morrow and Singh in a rematch in November 1987 to regain the titles, eventually losing them to Morrow and the Cuban Assassin in July 1988. Pillman wrapped up with Stampede on August 13, 1988, and went to the Continental Wrestling Association in Memphis to continue his career. He would also do a stint in New Japan Pro Wrestling before working his way to WCW, where I first saw him as Flying Brian. So, as I said, he made it to the WCW, where he was giving the name Flying Brian Pillman in June 1989. He got the name due to his athletic ability and variety of aerial maneuvers. He and beautiful Bobby Eaton were one of the first American wrestlers to incorporate a variety of lucha moves into their arsenal. From February to May 1990, he would hold the NWA United States Tag Team Championship with Tom Zenk. He also held the short-lived WCW Light Heavyweight Championship twice between October 1991 and February 1992, feuding with the likes of Brad Armstrong, Ricky Morton, and Scotty Flamingo, or Raven to all you big fans out there. Shout out to Scotty. He never really got a chance to shine, and he was an amazing worker. In September 1992, Pillman turned heel and was scheduled to wrestle Brad Armstrong for the WCW Light Heavyweight title at Clash of the Champions 20, although this wouldn't happen as Armstrong had a legit knee injury and had to vacate the title. 2 months later, on November 1992, Pillman formed a tag team with Barry Windham, where they would challenge Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas for both the NWA and WCW World Tag Team Championships at Starrcade on December 28, 1992. His luck was out, though, and they lost the match to Douglas and Steamboat. He would continue working with Windham until January 1993, when Windham would set his sights on the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Pillman kept hunting for the tag belts and started to team up with none other than the future Stone Cold. They would be given the name of the Hollywood Blondes. Brian totally ran with the gimmick and splashed out a new matching outfit for both of them, and I must say, they really shone at this, and if it wasn't for Pillman's injury, they would defo been in my top 5 tag teams of all time. Their last match together was at an episode of WCW Main Event. This was because Pillman suffered a leg injury, causing them to have to drop the belts. This must have stung at the time for Brian, getting to his first massive push only to be canceled. Obviously, Austin had his own career to focus on as Brian recovered. Lord Steven Regal would team with Austin and drop both NWA and WCW World Tag Team titles. Upon his return, Pillman would turn into a good guy and feud with his former partner, and also attempted to win the WCW World Television Championship, but failed, ending the match a time-limit draw. There was a good few months passed, and he was off TV until January 1995. He would make it back to TV, where he would feud with wrestlers such as Brad Armstrong, Eddie Guerrero, Alex Wright, and Marcus Bagwell, before teaming up with Arn Anderson to feud with Flair and Sting at Halloween Havoc. After that, he would reform the Four Horsemen when Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, along with Chris Benoit, decided to give it a try. Brian was starting to develop his loose cannon gimmick in around the end of 1995, when he would start displaying some unpredictable behavior. Arn Anderson tried to wind his neck in a bit. He started wearing black leather vests, jewelry, sunglasses, and t-shirts with monsters on them. He would constantly blur the lines between fact and fiction when doing promos. Pillman would lose an I Respect You strap match at Super Brawl 1996 to Kevin Sullivan. At the end of that match, Pillman, who just lost, said, "I respect you, Booker Man." This was a no-no in professional wrestling to break kayfabe, and WCW president Eric Bischoff had no choice but to fire him. By mid-February, he was signed to ECW for what must have been a short-term contract, and did a promo like a chance meeting with Joey Styles at an ECW annual internet convention on February 17, 1996. Pillman would continue his loose cannon gimmick and start insulting Eric Bischoff, calling him a commentator, a gopher, and a piece of effing shit. He stopped Joey from stopping the interview and turned to the fans and calling them a bunch of smart marks before threatening to whip out his big Wolf whistle and piss all over the place. My God, this guy has really lost it by this point. Booker Paul Heyman and owner of ECW Todd Gordon confronted PILLMAN on his actions and then proceeded to get security to remove him from the arena. As he was getting escorted, he bent over and removed a fork that was being hid in his boot. He started to attack a Plant audience member with the fork. In fact, it was quite an angle they had going here. Backstage, he insulted New Jack's tag partner Mustafa Saad by calling him the N-word. Very distasteful behavior. All this build-up and PILLMAN fell asleep at the wheel of his Hummer and crashed it into a tree and actually tipped the car upside down. This was a serious accident that could have ended him, as he was in a coma for a whole week. He did some serious damage to his foot in the car wreck, so much so that the surgeons had to fuse the foot back together in a walking position so he couldn't do his high-flying stuff he did as Flying Brian. He would have to change up his style a lot. So, that's all we got time for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our future content. See you in the next video.